The number 5 case on my list is going to be going to the clutch case. Now, when we're talking about the clutch case, there's one big thing that people are turned away from it because, and that's going to be the fact that there's the Revolution case, which has been cheaper and having the same gloves inside of it. But Revolution case has actually been going up in price relatively recently, and honestly, I think this is definitely something that could help the clutch case, but the clutch case, very well on its own in a very strong position. Talking about the supply, it's the only downside of this case. Obviously, it's quite massive. It was in the active drop pool for a significant amount of time because it was one of the most open cases. It was the most open in 2023, and when we're coming on to today, it's still having a very strong unboxing spree. The supply is just so large that it hasn't really kicked in too far. However, hands down, the best part about this case is going to be the price point. If we want to talk about it, honestly, you're not going to be able to get a cheaper rare case any cheaper than this unless you're going snakebite. It's 50 cents roughly with a buy order, and that's honestly a pretty solid price point for rare cases, but especially one like the clutch that has such a massive amount of demand behind it. SkinSwap just went ahead and dropped their biggest update ever. Not only are they sponsoring you with that top link in the description, but they're also introducing backpacks, allowing you to buy any item on the site, and it's going to be personally held for you. Their trading feature is often told to be the best in the business, offering near instant trades taking under 30 seconds right now. And their selling feature is instant as well, offering PayPal, crypto, and tons of different options if you're looking to get your money this second. And finally, they've always got that 40% deposit bonus if you're looking to pick up some brand new skins, so try them out today. There's no reason not to. Now, talking about the gallery case, it's without a doubt the best case inside of the entire game that you can unbox. Talking about a 7.5% profit potential is absolutely insane, 82% unboxing ROI, but when we're talking about investing, it's kind of in a state of limbo right now. That's because honestly, the skins inside of it are decent, but nothing absolutely crazy. It's pushed down a little bit by the kukri knives, and we're talking about the actual investment itself. We don't know where it's going to go. Right now, it's in a very similar case to the Anubis package. Obviously, you can buy as many as you want of them. It takes some time and effort, so it's not the exact same, but we don't know where it's going to go. If it gets removed, it's obviously going to skyrocket in price, but if it stays in the shop, there's really not much profit potential. It's sitting at around $1 right now. No reason why it's going to go much higher or really lower than that. For my number 4 case on the list, we've got a tie between the snakebite and the CS20 case. I'm talking about the snakebite first. This is a case that has a ton of profit potential just because of how cheap it is. If we want to look at the past, it's reached a $1 price point based off hype alone, and now the fundamentals are significantly better. Talking about a much lower supply, much decent demand. Honestly, it's a very solid case overall. CS20, opposite end of the spectrum. It's a very slow moving case. If we want to look at the price point, it's this cheap because honestly, not that many people are unboxing it, but it also doesn't have a massive supply to come along with it. It's a cheaper rare case with an opportunity that if a hype comes along, it could get pushed up and it could also not fall back down like we see very commonly. Both of these are on very opposite ends of the spectrum depending on how risk adverse you're looking to be in an investment, but honestly, I don't think either of these are too bad of a choice. Personally, I'm going to choose snakebite in this situation because of how cheap it is over the CS20, but I definitely think they're both opportunities if you're looking to get into the rare case market with a lower budget. Talking about the active duty cases, if we want to look at the unboxing numbers, we can see exactly what's going on. They are destroying the unboxing numbers. Absolutely insane. We never have seen this high of a percentage coming from active duty and I guess purchasable included here, but absolutely crazy. If we want to talk about it though, there's one case that everyone is kind of looking at. It's the dreams and nightmares, but also the rest of the active duty cases included, wondering if they should make an investment into this area. In my personal opinion, it's absolutely not. There's no reason why at this current price point for all these cases, you should really be looking at an investment. Maybe the recoil, maybe the fracture as being the next remove, but the other three absolutely not. Overall, I think this area is just way too volatile for you to make a significant amount of money that's going to be worth the risk, because if you look at how volatile these cases have been over the past year, there is not enough profit for me personally to be putting a lot of money into this area when I know how quickly these case prices can drop. Now, talking about my number 3 case, this is actually my number 1 case when it comes to a certain price point. That's going to be the revolver case. I love the revolver case, and we're talking about these older, a little bit more expensive cases. Revolver case absolutely number 1. Unboxing numbers show that this case is one of the most in demand when we're talking about those OG knives. That's because of the price point it holds. Cheapest opportunity to get those OG knives, and we're talking about the case itself. People love to unbox it. It's so nostalgic, and the price point on it is really, really good when we're talking about a case of its age. Honestly, it just comes down to the price of why it's not higher. It's a really expensive case when we're talking about comparing it to the rest of these that are sitting under $1. This one's about 2.5, and that's definitely going to cut into the profitability when we're talking about a percentage, but it's a great round off your inventory if you're looking for something a little less volatile and a little bit more stable. Talking about discontinued cases, in my honest opinion right now, I think they're one of the worst investments you can make depending on what you're looking for. Honestly, they're a very stable investment, but if we want to look at the growth on them, it's been absolutely abysmal. People look to these as saying they're one of the most safe investments you can make, and that's absolutely 100% true, but they really haven't been seeing any growth over the past couple of months, and therefore I would definitely suggest you go towards the cheaper rare cases or even the more expensive rare cases over something like this if you're trying to get a solid return. These cases, discontinued ones, are going to be safe, but they're just not really profitable in the current market because they're not really having any interest from anyone opening them. Now, the number 2 case on my list without a doubt is going to be very solidly the Danger Zone case. Danger Zone case is one of my favorites when it comes to all aspects of a case. It's got strong unboxing numbers when we're talking talking about it overall being one of the cheaper rare cases, talking about the supply on it, very solid, nothing to scoff at. It's in a relatively similar position to all of its competitors, and the best part about it is it's really in demand when it comes to the skins. They're solid, the knives are solid, and overall it's just a very solid case, which is why it gets so much for the unboxing numbers inside this area. The biggest thing I have about this case is going to be the price point. It's not the cheapest case out there when it comes to these prices, and it's got a little bit of an interesting caveat being that it's got the Horizon case at a very similar price point. Now it's about 20-30 cents difference. Overall, I think the Danger Zone case is a very solid option. It's one that I've got a personal decent amount in my investing series. When it comes down to it, I think it's a solid option, but it's definitely not my number one in the current market. Now, talking about cases that I'm finding very interesting in the current market, it's going to be the Wildfire case. Now, obviously in the previous update, we talked about how you could be able to rent skins, and honestly, if there's one case that's going to be able to maximize this to the absolute limit, it's going to be the Wildfire case. The knives inside of this thing are absolutely terrible, but the skins are some of the most expensive. If you're looking to have an AK fuel injector, hundreds of dollars, you can get it right now for about $5 by just renting it for a week. Obviously, this is not something that's going to explode the case, but I think it's a very solid case overall, and I like the future of it. Talking about the Chroma cases, it's the most desirable case family in the game, in my honest opinion. These cases and these knives are overall extremely solid. The biggest thing comes down to the fact is they're super expensive as well. I mean, it's absolutely insane. The minimum price for one of these cases being up there is absolutely crazy. These cases have very solid unboxing numbers, and they're overall not a heavily supplied case. I think it's definitely going to be a very solid option if you're looking for something that's a little bit more on the safer side, but once again, you got to remember they're extremely expensive, and the ROI percentage wise probably isn't going to be anything too crazy. Now, if there's one case group I cannot absolutely believe, it's going to be the Gammas. Honestly, the way the Gammas have stayed so consistent to each other is absolutely insane. I'm constantly looking at these cases to see if I can make some profit off of them because they always come back to a very similar price point together every couple of weeks, but they have stayed the near identical path when we're talking about these graphs. Look at the 6-month, overlay them. It's absolutely insane how similar these cases and these graphs are. It's definitely not an area that I'm going to be able to profit off of because they are nearly identical, which is absolutely crazy. Now, the number one case in my honest opinion right now is going to be the Prisma 2. Now, in a previous video, I talked about the Prisma 1 was probably a better investment than the Prisma 2, but the Prisma 2 has come down in price, the Prisma 1 has come up, and we've gotten to a position now where they're nearly identical, which is very good for Prisma 1 investors and very good for you if you're trying to get into the Prisma 2 right now. The supply on this thing is significantly lower than the Prisma 1 from what we can tell, and the best part about all of this is the Prisma 2 seems to have a much stronger unboxing number than the Prisma 1, which is already in a very solid position. I want to say if you have a Prisma 1 investment, do not sell it off for a Prisma 2. These cases are going to move most likely in tandem together in the long term, similar to what we just talked about for the Gamma cases. In the short term, they're going to have discrepancies, they're going to have differences, but overall, these have very solid unboxing numbers for a case to consistently put up. Prisma 2 right now is going to be the dominating force, being with a lower supply, and overall, I think both of these cases are very solid investments. If you're trying to make them, I would definitely say Prisma 1 or 2, specifically 2 here, is going to be my choice. That's all I got. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.